Viewers, America, which was out of Libya after the overthrowing of Moammar Gaddafi, is suddenly in. Now, American officials, they are holding talks with GNA. They are in negotiations with LNA. They are leading oil talks. AFRICOM is busy. AFRICOM is issuing statements on a regular basis. So several things are happening which are indicating that Americans now want to be part of any final solution to Libyan conflict. So in this video, firstly, I'll brief you about the recent engagements between American officials and GNA and LNA officials. Secondly, I'll inform you about the response of GNA and LNA. How are they seeing this renewed American interest in Libya? And lastly, viewers, I'll discuss the real reason, the purpose behind this America's entry in Libya. Firstly, viewers, United States State Department is calling it active neutrality. So they are basically saying that we are engaging with both the sides, but we are neutral, but we are not passive neutral. So we want to be neutral but active. So active neutrality can lead to some solution in Libya. That is why they are saying they are having negotiations. So this new term, active neutrality, though we never saw this active neutrality when General Haftar was laying siege to Tripoli. So nowhere active neutrality was to be seen back then. Now, viewers, recent engagements between Americans and GNA and LNA side. Firstly, viewers, almost 2 weeks ago, I informed you about a meeting which took place at Zawiya airport. This meeting was attended from American side, American ambassador to Libya, Richard Noland, Stephen Townsend, a general of AFRICOM, American military command in Africa. And from GNA side, there was Faiz Sarraj, Prime Minister of Libya, Fatih Bashaga, Interior Minister of GNA. So this high-level meeting was the first contact between GNA and American officials. Then we were the second meeting on 24th of June. It was a virtual meeting, video link conference between American officials and GNA officials. American State Department, it also issued a statement after this meeting between GNA and American officials, and the statement said that the purpose of this meeting was to make it clear to GNA that the militias, private militias, must not be allowed to block this process of political negotiations. Secondly, these private militias, they must be disarmed, and the capacity building of Libyan security forces, it must be taken care of, and these Libyan security forces, they must handle law and order, and the role of these militias must be curtailed. Then we was another meeting, this time with LNA side on 1st of July. 1st of July, LNA and American officials meeting. It was also a virtual meeting, viewers. Americans here sent the same message about militias, that and State Department issued a statement as well after this meeting of 1st of July. First, that these militias, they must not be allowed to block the process of political negotiations. Secondly, Americans, they raised their reservations regarding the affiliation of LNA fighters with Russian Wagner fighters. Thirdly, it was said that the oil shutdown, it must be there must be a solution to this oil shutdown. And lastly, viewers, this most important thing, American officials said that LNA will have to face international sanctions if they did not control their militias, and if these and if they did not cut off their ties with Russian Wagner fighters. So viewers, these three meetings between GNA and LNA officials on one side and American officials on the other side. Then viewers, oil talks, as I informed you in one of my previous videos, that America and the UN, they are leading oil talks in Libya. GNA is part of these oil talks, LNA as well, some European countries like France, Italy, then Middle Eastern countries as well. So here, America is also leading these talks. Now, here's the response of GNA and LNA side. Both the sides cannot ignore America, viewers, I think. GNA is having this international recognition. That is why they have this edge over LNA. They are in control of NOC, National Corporation of Libya. They are in control of Libya Central Bank. It is because they are recognized internationally. And if America decides to take away this recognition of GNA, or if America decides to launch a campaign to persuade international institutions to end this recognition of GNA can be in trouble, viewers. That is why GNA cannot ignore America. No, LNA side, viewers. LNA side, as I informed you just a while ago, that Americans threatened them with international sanctions. If sanctions are imposed on LNA, it is going to be very, very painful for them. They are already, they have lost almost whole of Western Libya. Their allies are not happy with them as well. We heard statements from UAE, War General Haftar. So if sanctions are now imposed by international institutions, that will seriously disturb LNA side. That is why they are also in talks with America. They cannot ignore America. Now, it's lastly, the purpose of this American renewed interest in Libya. Because America does not want Libya to be another Syria. Americans made a mistake when they left Syria, though they are still in Syria, but majority of their troops, they're out of Syria. Some of their troops are there and they are in control of some oil wells, but majority of their troops, they're out of Syria. And after their withdrawal from Syria, we saw that Russians, they gained considerable influence in Syria. Now Russia is a force in Syria, viewers. No solution can be finalized to Syrian conflict without Russia's approval, viewers. American ally Israel, which had freedom to attack Iranian interests in Syria when America was there, now they don't have this freedom. Israel cannot hit Iranian interests in Syria without some sort of approval of Russia. So America does not want Libya to be another Syria, viewers. They do not want to be out of here completely, because they know that if it happens, Russia will become more and more powerful here. Then, viewers, it was Russia's dream to reach the Mediterranean. Now, if they manage to have a naval base in Sirte, it will lead to more Russian naval presence in the Eastern Mediterranean. A few days ago, we heard from an American journal regarding the presence of Russian submarines in the Eastern Mediterranean. We heard from him that these submarines can hit any European country, very powerful submarines. So now if Russia succeeds in having this Sirte naval base, it will lead to further naval presence of Russia in the Eastern Mediterranean. That is also worrying for America, viewers. Then, viewers, Eastern Mediterranean, it is going to be hub of oil and gas exploration in the coming days. We're seeing so many conflicts between Turkey and Egypt, Turkey and Greece, and other EU countries as well. So this place is going to be the hub of oil and gas exploration. If Russians are here, they have if they have a naval base here, so they will be in a position to influence this exploration for oil and gas, viewers. And lastly, viewers, Russia, whose economy depends upon oil and gas export. If Russians are here in Libya in control of oil wells, and they have a base in Sedat naval base to influence oil gas exploration in the East Mediterranean, it means they can keep their economy going, and they will have a say in international energy market. So that several things, viewers. I think America has now realized that if Russia stays here, it will lead to further Russian expansion in Africa as well. It will lead to more stability of Russian oil and gas markets. It will lead to more presence of Russians in the Eastern Mediterranean. So many things. That is why America has decided to intervene in Libya through these negotiations. But in the coming days, we will see whether this American political intervention, this active neutrality, what they say, can it bring about any results or not. And thanks for watching.